Hey guys, welcome back to my channel if you guys are new here. Hi, my name is Sydney. I film cruelty-free beauty videos. Today's video, we are going to be looking back at my 2018 beauty favorites. Last year, I think I did my top 18 products of 2018, and I thought it would be really fun to kind of look back after a whole year has passed, see where those products are. Are they still in my collection? Am I still loving them? Are they still a part of my daily routine? And yeah, I would really like to do this every single year because I think it's just a fun way to kind of give you guys my refreshed thoughts on some products that I once gave my stamp of approval on. I'm sorry if my voice is a little bit like weird. I am getting over a cold. My energy is also a little bit low because I'm still getting over the cold, but I hope that you guys still enjoy this video. I did get this video idea from Sarah Rose. I will link her channel down below. She just recently filmed one, so if you guys are enjoying this kind of video, definitely check hers out as well. Without further ado, let's hop into it. I have a giant basket of makeup precariously stacked on my lap, so fingers crossed that nothing falls on the floor and breaks. I'm famous for that. I'll be filming and talking about something and I set it down on my leg for 2 seconds and then it falls on the floor and it breaks and I cry. But I'm gonna stop rambling and let's get into it. So most of the products that I mentioned in that video, which I can link down below if you guys want to go rewatch the original video, it's a little bit cringy. My camera wasn't as good because I was using my iPad instead of my new phone. The lighting was a little iffy, but if you guys want to rewatch it, it might be worth rewatching. But most of the products I still have in my collection, but there have been a few that I don't have in my collection anymore, so I'm actually going to save those till the end and then we'll talk about those, and I'll just insert a picture on the screen. But the first one that is jumping out at me is the Dr. Brandt Luminizer Primer. So this was the first ever hydrating luminous primer that I ever tried, and I fell head over heels for it. Honestly, I put this in my project pan for 2019, but I've been the worst at using it, you guys. I think I hit the point, I think it was like May when I started my new job. I just got up a lot earlier, so once I like slapped my moisturizer on, it was like 10 minutes later that I put my makeup on. So I just don't really use primer a whole lot at the moment. I would still like to finish this up before the end of the year because honestly, probably a week of consistent use would do it. But it's not really a favorite anymore. Dr. Brandt also isn't cruelty-free, and I like officially went cruelty-free in April of this year. So that was really cool, but I will not be repurchasing this primer and I can't say that I recommend it anymore. Next thing I mentioned in my 2018 favorites is the Dream Street palette. This one was in collaboration with ColourPop and Kathleen Lights. And this is still one of my favorite palettes, you guys. If you saw my full face of products I want to pan in 2020, which is crazy to say out loud, I'll link that video down below. But I did a whole eye look with this palette. It's absolutely stunning. I feel like it doesn't look like I've used it that much, but I've used this one a lot. It's definitely a candidate for something that I want to pan in 2020. Honestly, I'm so excited about project panning in 2020. I have so many exciting ideas, but this is just one of my favorites. I think Kathleen knocked it out of the park with this one. I really do enjoy most of the collabs that she creates. I hopefully am getting so jaded for Christmas, so I'm so excited to test that one out. But this is definitely still a favorite, still has my stamp of approval. I think if you're looking for an eyeshadow palette to try from ColourPop, this would be an awesome one to start with. Next one I feel a little bit more so-so about, and that is the Blush Tribe Blossom palette. So this was my first ever purchase from an indie brand, so that was so special for me. It was totally a new experience for me. Before, I'd only really shopped at Ulta, tiny bit at Sephora, a lot of ColourPop, I'm not gonna lie. But here's what the palette looks like. It was my first ever rainbow palette. I was really just starting to get into color about halfway through 2018, so this was kind of a big deal for me to get and add to my collection. I had absolutely nothing like it, and honestly, you guys, as my collection has expanded, as my colorful shadow collection has expanded, I haven't reached for this one as much. I did reach for it last night when I was having some makeup playtime, and honestly, it wasn't performing that great, but I did use these very, very light kind of pastel-y shades, and I do remember thinking that those worked much better over a wet base. So I'm not totally knocking this palette. I don't think this one's even available anymore on Blush Tribe's website. I'm not quite as in love with this one as I was when I first got it or when I mentioned it in that video. The next product that I mentioned is my e.l.f. Total Face Palette. I think this is the Natural Radiance Face Palette, I want to say. I can never remember the name. But this is an awesome all-in-one bronzer blush highlighter palette if you guys have fair or light skin. It doesn't really work for any other skin tone, which I really wish that they would release some more shades because I love the configuration of the blush, the bronzer, and the highlight in here. It makes everything so quick and easy to grab into. I still do like this palette and I reach into it from time to time, but honestly, I haven't been reaching for it as much this year as I was last year. It's awesome to travel with, but lately I've been traveling with my little Becca Sunrise palette. I'll insert a picture of it right here because I don't want to mess up my filming setup to go grab it. But it's still a good palette, it's just not a huge favorite anymore. Okay, this next one you guys are going to be very familiar with if you've been keeping up with my Project Pan series, and that is the e.l.f. Mad for Matte 2 palette. I'm not going to open it because I have some pretty big spoilers in here for my next Project Pan update. You guys will have to stay tuned for that one. I'm so excited to share the updates. I bet you guys can guess what I hit pan on. But this is an awesome little palette. I've kind of gotten, like, I get super tired of it and then I get super excited that I'm using it and panning it again. It's still an amazing palette. If you guys are looking for some staple matte shades from the drugstore, this is an awesome one to grab. But I'm ready to stop panning this one. I want to enjoy my other eyeshadows a little bit more, but it is a great palette. It's still definitely one that I recommend. Ooh, this next product I've had kind of an epiphany this year with, and that is the Flower Beauty Shimmer and Strobe Highlighting Kit. This is my favorite highlighter formula, not even from the drugstore, just like favorite highlighter formula, period. And this year has kind of been the year where I've kind of branched out. I've tried some new formulas, I've tried some new textures, and I just keep coming back to this one, and I'm like, why on earth am I buying anything else? These highlighters are so smooth, so metallic. You can build them up for a really intense blinding glow, or you can do something a little bit softer for more of a lit from within glow. They're just fantastic, you guys. I cannot recommend this palette enough. Next up, we have the Naked Heat palette from Urban Decay, and I still love this palette. It was a gift, and that it just means a lot to me that it was a gift in itself. Honestly, I've stepped so far away from warm neutrals this year. Of course, I still wear neutral shades on an everyday basis when I'm like going to class or going to work, but I just feel like when I sit down and I have makeup playtime, these aren't the tones that I'm reaching for. I'm reaching for color, I'm reaching for greens, blues, purples, pinks. It's still a great palette, and if you guys are in the market for something that has this kind of color story, I think it's a good palette. I think it's super user-friendly, but it's definitely not one of my most used products in 2019. Next up, we have the Physicians Formula Argan Wear Argan Oil. I was a huge fan of kind of mixing this in with my foundation in 2018, and I still do that time to time. But I found myself kind of using this lately as kind of like a moisturizer. Like if I come home from work or school and I'm like, I want to have makeup playtime, and I wipe off all my makeup and my face is feeling a little bit dry, I'll use a couple of drops of this to kind of give it a little bit more moisture. Other than that, I really haven't been reaching for this. I just feel like my skin hasn't been super dry like it has in years past, where I'm like, oh, I need all the extra moisture. I've also really been getting into hydrating foundation, so I also feel like that's kind of taken the place of this in my collection. Honestly, I don't have too much left. I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm about right there on the bottle. I don't have too much left. I would really like to use this up in like the next 4 to 5 months, especially while it's cold, and then move it out of my collection. This next product will be no surprise to you guys that I'm still loving it, and that is the Laura Geller Baked Blush and Brighten Blush in the shade Tropic Hues. This is also in my Project Pan, and I'll link that series below if you guys are interested. But this has been my almost every single day blush for 11 months now. No, 12 months now. It's December today. I love it so much. I love the color. I love the glow it gives my skin. I love the life it brings back to my face. It's thebomb.com. I recommend that everyone try these. They're absolutely incredible. Next product up is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. This is a bronzer that I've had in my collection for 2.5 years at this point. I think I tried it in 2017, but I don't know if I quite got the hype until 2018. This is actually a shade darker than the one that I shared in my last video. This is just the regular shade bronzer instead of the light bronzer. This is still a bronzer that I really truly enjoy. I love the scent. I love the way it blends out on my skin. I love how it's just kind of a no fuss, no muss bronzer. Honestly, you guys, I've had this same formula in my collection for quite a while, so I'm really wanting to branch out and try something new. Milani has a beautiful bronzer that I want to try. e.l.f. has that primer infused bronzer that I want to try. I would really like to try some of the ColourPop bronzers, so once I use this one up, I'm probably not going to repurchase it for a while, but it definitely is still one that I would recommend. The next product that I mentioned in my 2018 favorites is the ColourPop Super Shock Shadows, but specifically the Ultra Glitter formula, because I was totally obsessed with glitter and honestly nothing has changed. I'm still so on the glitter train. So the one that I pulled out to show you guys today is the shade Warrior, and I think I pulled this same exact shade out in that last video. These are just beautiful, you guys. I'm obsessed with like sparkly, glittery eyeshadow, lid toppers, anything like that. And there have been so many that have come out at a higher end price point. I'm just like, psh, I don't need that. I've got my $5 Super Shock shadow. So these are definitely still a huge favorite for me. So the last two products that I have to mention are both lip products. The first one I absolutely have been loving still, and those are the Smashbox Be Legendary lipsticks. I got this little teeny tiny set, I think 2 Christmases ago, and I've loved them ever since. They're nice, creamy, pigmented lipsticks. I really don't have a bad thing to say about them. I actually have one in my project pan as well, so if that doesn't tell you that I'm enjoying them, I don't know what does. But here I have the shade Audition, which is a beautiful kind of peachy pink nude. I have this in the center of my lips today, but I have a gloss on top too. And then there's also the shade Fig, which is one of my absolute favorite berry shades in my collection, so I've still really been loving these. These are definitely still a favorite. I don't really find myself getting super attached to lip products, so it's kind of a big deal when I mention them in a favorites video, but I've definitely still loved these Smashbox lipsticks. The next item, it's not quite the same story, and those are the mini Jouer liquid lipsticks. I was so excited to buy like a little mini set. I think I bought it after Christmas in 2018. And I bought a little set that had all these beautiful like pinky, mauvey nude shades. But honestly, I regret buying so many liquid lipsticks when I did, because they are just not my cup of tea, you guys. I much prefer regular lipstick, or like a tinted lip balm has really been my jam lately. So I don't hate them, but I don't really love them. I'm not in love with them anymore. So I can't say that I would really recommend these. I feel like these do not top my favorite liquid lipstick formula, and that is the Physicians Formula lipstick formula, the Healthy Lip formula. That is absolutely top notch. If you guys are into liquid lipsticks, check those out. They're super comfortable, very lightweight on the lips. They're not totally transfer proof, but they are so comfortable. I would put up with any amount of transfer. But these ones just don't really meet the mark for me anymore. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I do have 3 products to share that aren't in my collection anymore for one reason or another. And the first one is the L'Oreal Lash Paradise Mascara. This is one that was my absolute favorite before I went cruelty-free, but unfortunately L'Oreal is not cruelty-free, so I could no longer buy it. So yeah, that one's not a favorite anymore. I honestly haven't really found a mascara that I'm totally in love with yet that is cruelty-free. But honestly, on the last tube of Lash Paradise that I was using, I just wasn't as wowed by it as I had been in the past. So leave me down below your recommendations for mascara. The next product that is no longer in my collection is the Benefit Hula Bronzer. So I got this adorable little mini from Ulta, I think at some point in 2018. And I started using it, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. I loved the tone. I loved how blendable it was. But as I started to like hit pan on it, it would shatter, and then I'd repress it, and it would shatter, repress, shatter, repress, and I just get to the point where I'm like, I'm done with this bronzer. It's making a gigantic mess every time I travel with it, every time I like gently drop it on the carpet. It was just such a pain in the butt, so I just tossed it. I was done with it. Benefit is also not cruelty-free, so didn't really have that many qualms about getting it out of my collection. And then finally, the last product that I got rid of is the sydneym Inframed Brow Pomade. This is one that I've raved about for so long. And honestly, I'd had that product for probably 2 or 3 years at that point when I filmed that video. And I was like, wow, I'm shocked that this is still working. It's not like gunky and weird. Of course, it was getting a little bit hard in the edges, but I'm like, that's fine. I was just mixing a little oil in and it was totally working. I feel like it was in February or March, because I did have it in my project pan at one point. I'm like, I'm gonna finish this up. This is gonna be so awesome. And I just hit a wall with it. I don't know if it just completely dried out or what happened, but I could not make it work for me anymore. And finally, I just got so frustrated, I tossed it. I was done with it. It was old. It was disgusting. No more. So, and I haven't looked back since then. But that is actually going to wrap up my 2018 favorites revisited. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it fun to kind of walk down memory lane with me. I know I had a lot of fun. Oh, I just realized that I forgot a palette. Okay, hold. Okay, so I have one more favorite that I forgot to include of things that I still already own, and that is the Emily Edit The Wants palette. So this was Emily Noel 83's collaboration with Makeup Revolution, and here's what it looks like. This was such a favorite of mine in 2018. I used it so frequently, and honestly in 2019, I haven't used it all that much, so that kind of bumps me out because I remember loving the color story. The shadow formula wasn't my absolute favorite, but it was definitely workable. It was pretty easy to work with, honestly, and I just loved the color story. I love Emily so much, and I loved supporting her, so this one was such a favorite of mine, and I would really like to pull it back out in the next couple weeks and get some use out of it. But okay, now we're gonna wrap it up. Let me know down below what products that you guys have kind of changed your tune on. That something that was like a huge favorite in 2018, that 2019 is rolled around and you're just kind of like, or maybe you don't like it at all. I would love to know. I'm so curious to kind of hear how your opinions have changed on your favorite products. But that's gonna wrap it up for me today. I'm gonna stop talking because I feel like my voice is just getting worse. But thank you guys so much for tolerating that today, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye. I think I tried the butter.
Stop being so self-conscious.
I feel very self-conscious.
Confidence.
Also, I feel like I sound like I smoke a pack a day.
Huh?
I feel like I sound like I smoke a pack a day.
Yeah. You don't?
No.